get to schmoozing with Brad.
Nesquik, that was fabulous.
I told you I had it down pat.
You had it down
all by myself.
Had it down pat.
I usually have my right-hand man with me.
Yo who, right? Yo who? Yo what?
Baby boy who?
Baby boy who? No.
I held it down for my boy.
All right. So today marked the official start of the impeachment. Donald John, did you know his middle name? We always know him as Donald J. Trump.
Right.
I found out today.
John.
I had no idea it was John.
He's not a Joe.
No, he's not a Joe. He's Donald. His real name is Donald John Trump. Only because I saw them read off the impeachment articles in the Senate. The impeachment articles are the accusations against Donald John Trump as president of the United States. And I'm like, John, I had no idea. I always thought it was Donald J. Trump.
Yep, gotta get the whole, with what this process we're working on right now, let's get the legal name on there.
Correct.
Make sure we don't confuse them.
You see, because when my name is Bradford H. Bernstein.
Oh, you're a Bradford.
I am a Bradford. And everyone always says, what does the H stand for? I go, nothing. It's just an initial. If you look at my birth certificate,
you're just an initial?
Just an initial. That's it. My parents could come up with the middle name.
No, but they're like, we did great with Bradford.
Yeah, Bradford. So, a lot of times my friends used to, when I was younger, they used to say, hey, H. That was it.
The thing. I had a friend in high school. Her name was K.
K.
Just the letter K.
But not
she was
K-A-Y.
Filipino. No.
Not K-A-Y.
Just the letter K.
Really? So I thought he was Jay, but I found out John.
That's just you.
Yeah. So Donald John Trump's impeachment trial started today. The outcome is going to determine whether or not he gets to run again for a re-election or whether he gets thrown out of office ahead of time. Now, I will say...
What are your predictions?
Okay, my prediction is that he will not be impeached. And my prediction is that he will survive and that he will hopefully not get reelected again by the American public, who will be what I say the appeals board of the impeachment trial. Now, Jilly Bean.
I was going to say that's your prediction, but we had a
Jilly
conversation.
Bean's prediction is that he will not survive into the spring. She feels a lot of stuff is coming out. It's really, really bad, which I agree. So, for example, today, LevParnas. Do you know who LevParnas is?
I'm not familiar.
Okay. Have you ever seen the movie or the Broadway musical, The Producers?
No.
Do you know? Are you familiar with that?
No.
No. Well, it's basically a show about a guy who's trying to sell like a show, and it's terrible, and he's just a con artist.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and this guy LevParnas looks to me like a con artist.
So he fits the role.
And he fits the profile of somebody who would be in that musical. And he came out in the news, both on MSNBC's Rachel Maddow and in the New York Times. And he said that Donald Trump was aware of all of my movements in the Ukraine. LevParnas was sent as basically the scout to go and make the introductions between Giuliani and the Ukrainian government to try to get dirt on Biden and basically be the go-between, because they couldn't do it through official channels, they had to do it through unofficial channels, be the go-between, get the dirt on Joe Biden and Hunter Biden, and use that to basically win a second election for Donald Trump, basically saying that Joe Biden's a crook, just like he did with Hillary Clinton.
Another pawn just coming out of the woodworks.
So he said on Rachel Maddow last night that he was aware of all my movements, he being Donald Trump.
Right.
I wouldn't do anything without the consent of Rudy Giuliani, the president. I have no reason to speak to any of these officials, the people in the Ukraine. Why would President Zelensky's inner circle or Minister Avakov or all these other people or President Poroshenko meet with me? Who am I? They were told to meet with me. Aside from Giuliani and the president, Parnas alluded that Vice President Mike Pence, Attorney General William Barr, and former National Security Advisor John Bolton were all involved in some way in the pressure campaign. He also said that John Bolton would be one of the most knowledgeable people about the episode who had not yet spoken publicly. He said Bolton 100%, he knows exactly what happened. Now, in addition to that, it's kind of been like a 1-2-3 punch with Donald Trump. The impeachment is starting.
Yep.
There's enough Republicans who want to call witnesses, so it's not going to be an open and shut case. We have Parnas, who's indicted for conspiracy to give bad election or illegal election donations to the Republican Party. He is now spilling the beans and saying that Donald Trump was well aware that he was going to Ukraine on behalf of Rudy Giuliani, who was Donald Trump's personal attorney, to get dirt on Joe Biden, and Donald Trump knew it couldn't be done through official channels, so it had to be done through unofficial channels, so he can use that as leverage against whoever the Democratic nominee would be, which most likely would have been Joe Biden, and Donald Trump withheld funds that Ukraine needed to fight the Russians. Screw Ukraine, screw our friendship there, screw the fact that American policy and American interest is best served by Russia not taking over Ukraine. But Donald Trump said, what's more important is that I become the president again. That's more important than whatever's in America's best interest.
Why do you think this information is coming to us now?
I think, well...
Or he's, bringing it to the public's attention now.
Well, I think it's kind of a bit orchestrated. You have to admit.
It's just all falling in a trickle effect.
Yeah, you have to admit it's a bit orchestrated in the sense that the Democrats felt stymied that Trump was not allowing anybody who worked in his inner circle to come testify.
Yep.
So William Barr wasn't able to testify. Bolton wasn't able to testify, although now he says he's willing to. And many other people from the executive branch were not willing to testify or were barred from testifying by Donald Trump. So who did the Democrats got? They got career diplomats to come and say what Trump was doing was illegal. And these career diplomats were saying this is what was happening in the Ukraine. What the Democrats never had was somebody who heard firsthand Donald Trump say, I am going to withhold this money from Ukraine so that I can get dirt on Joe Biden that is not even legitimate dirt. It's fake dirt in order to paint him as a crook the same way I painted Hillary Clinton as a crook. So nobody heard those words come out of Donald Trump's mouth except the people who work for him in the executive branch. So the Democrats have kind of been stymied in that way, although all of the evidence, but for hearing those words come out of Donald Trump, implicates Donald Trump. And that's what the Republicans are holding their hat on. They said, well, we never heard Donald Trump do anything wrong. I mean, all of Donald Trump's men have gone to jail or have been indicted or being charged or being investigated, including Rudy Giuliani. Right. But nobody ever heard.
But Trump didn't do it.
Right, but Trump didn't do anything wrong. So, you got to believe that the Democrats aren't idiots either. So they I'm sure, orchestrated for LevParnas to come out with this information on the eve of the Senate trial because they need some Republicans to pressure Mitch McConnell to have witnesses come testify who heard Donald Trump say these things. So perhaps this would pressure a lot of moderate Republicans to say, hey, we can't have an open and shut case so fast. Now, what is even more disturbing is that as part of the documents that have been released for the investigation into this guy, LevParnas, is the fact that he and Giuliani and many of Trump's men were basically wanted the ambassador of Ukraine out because she wasn't playing ball with Trump. She was doing the right thing by following the laws. So the evidence Parnas released includes eye-popping new details about several parts of the story pieced together during the impeachment inquiry. One exchange out of thousands of documents he provided relates to Giuliani's campaign to remove the U.S. Ambassador Marie Yovanovitch. Now remember, she was the career ambassador who testified. Now she testified that she was ousted after being targeted in what she described as a smear campaign by Donald Trump. Trump wanted her out because he wanted somebody who was basically his lackey to go do his work in
someone that would participate in his dirt.
Correct. So the texts imply that LevParnas and a big donor to the Republican Party, Robert F. Hyde, were basically following Yovanovitch's movements in the Ukraine. This is what the text said. Parnas text number 1. If you want her out, they need to make contact with security forces. They know she's a political puppet. They will let me know when she's on the move. They are willing to help if would like a price. Almost as if they were going to kill her. But they were following her.
In a text message?
Yes.
Really?
Guess you can do anything in Ukraine with money. That's what I was told. That's another text message. This is the ambassador. And by the way, that's Guy Hyde, who is a big donor. And of course, Donald Trump will say, I never heard of the guy before, but there he is in a picture. We always hear Donald Trump never heard of these people, but there he is in pictures with them.
And there's a selfie.
Right. There are, by the way, 7 pictures that I am aware of, public pictures that I am aware of Donald Trump smiling. This is Hyde. This is the guy Hyde.
Yep.
But also Donald Trump smiling next to LevParnas. Donald Trump says, I never met the guy. I don't know who he is. How do we have these 7 photos of him and Donald Trump together? Yeah. Right, and that's a new picture from Parnas' phone. So now the Ukraine is now starting to investigate this illegal surveillance of the U.S. ambassador. They're kind of caught in the middle of the conflict between the Democrats and the Republicans over whether Trump's pressure campaign on Ukraine justified his removal from office. Zelensky and his government, they want out of this, but they keep getting pulled back in. So now the Internal Affairs Ministry of Ukraine said in a statement released today that the country cannot ignore these illegal activities of private individuals following the U.S. ambassador, perhaps to intimidate her, perhaps to hurt her, perhaps we don't know why they were following her, kill her, kidnap her, who knows?
Right.
So these are crimes in the Ukraine committed by Americans.
Yeah.
It's getting worse and worse and worse. Now, that was punch number 1, which is the impeachment starting.
Yep.
Punch number 2 is this whole thing where LevParnas comes out and he says Trump knew exactly what was going on and that they're following the ambassador all over the Ukraine. We don't know what they were going to do to her, thank God.
It's not a thing.
It's not a thing, and she's fine. And now the General Accounting Office has just released their opinion on this whole entire matter. Now, the General Accounting Office is basically an impartial body that is basically, they're the accountants for the government. And they make sure that money's being spent properly and legally and everything else. So they're basically an independent watchdog of the U.S. government, but they are part of the U.S. government. They're independent of the Congress. They're independent of the president. And what they said was they concluded that what Donald Trump did by withholding this money from Ukraine, the $400 million, in order to get the dirt on Joe Biden, violated the Impoundment Control Act, a law that governs Congress's role in the federal budget process. So what they said was faithful execution of the law does not permit the president to substitute his own policy priorities to those that Congress has enacted into law. OMB withheld funds for a policy reason which is not permitted under the Impoundment Control Act. Therefore, we conclude that it was violated by Donald Trump. So, we have an independent accounting office of the U.S. government saying Trump broke the law. We have LevParnas saying Trump knew exactly that he was sent there to get dirt on Joe Biden. We have people that were working for Donald Trump following the U.S. ambassador to Ukraine around to God knows do what to her. And we have an impeachment trial starting, and we have a Senator, Mitch McConnell, who is the head of the Republicans, saying there's nothing here, we're gonna dismiss everything. So it was smart on the part of the Democrats to bring all this at this moment. It was orchestrated. It's very political, obviously, okay? And politics, I have to tell you, politics is a very, very dirty business.
Yeah, there's a lot of proof in that pudding.
So we'll see. What do you think is going to happen? Do you see Donald Trump staying as... I think he's going to stay as president, and I'm going to tell you why. The economy. The economy's doing well. People are happy with the economy, so they're not going to turn on Trump. If the economy was not doing well, he'd be out of office. That's my opinion. Because people are more selfish than anything else. Their own selfish, money in their pocket is more important than whether or not Donald Trump's breaking the law and being faithful to the Constitution.
Whatever directly affects anyone. So it's exactly what we're speaking about right now. My money's good, my money's fine. Let's just leave things how they are. We don't really like this guy, but my money's good.
Correct. Now, back from the dead. Let's change the subject for a second here.
No more orange, man.
No more orange, dude. All right. Pumpkin
Give him a
Man.
break.
I was calling him Pumpkin Man before. I'm like, he's like a Marvel comic villain,
He's
you know?
still a pumpkin.
Right. Oh, no, it's Pumpkin Man. All right. So, but back from the dead now, because this guy never seems to get out of the news. He's more popular now, dead, than he was alive. And you know what I'm talking about?
Who's this?
Jeffrey Epstein. This man is like selling newspapers like there's no tomorrow from the grave. So now, a Dr. Michael Baden, he is one of the world's most respected forensic pathologists.
Oof.
Okay, this is like CSI New York. Well, I don't know. Is
All
there,
of it. No,
is there a
forensic.
Is there a New York CSI?
No, it's still
Yes,
rolling.
there
They're
is.
probably
It's
on
still
like
rolling.
season 100.
Okay, so this is like real life CSI. So he investigated the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. He has investigated the assassination of Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. He has even testified in the defense of O.J. Simpson.
Oh, wow.
So this man has been in some very, very high-profile cases.
Legendary.
Right. So he has now examined all of the forensics of what happened with Jeffrey Epstein. And what he has determined is that Jeffrey Epstein was murdered.
Oh. So, oh, wow.
Yeah, so what he says is, it's in the back of the legs, this guy, Dr. Baden, says that Epstein's lower extremities were pale and not purple or bluish, which he says should have been the case had he hanged himself in August. Because if he hanged himself, there would have been no blood that made it circulated to his legs. But his legs were not blue. They were as white as the rest of his white body.
Yep.
He says his eyes.
I love all this stuff.
Jeffrey Epstein's eyes had burst capillaries after his body was found in his Manhattan jail cell, suggesting that he was not he was a convicted pedophile.
Yeah.
Suggesting that the convicted pedophile was likely murdered through manual strangulation, and he did not hang himself. And still, of his eyes, he said, in a hanging, the arteries and the blood vessels, the veins are both clogged off, and the person becomes pale. The face becomes pale. With a manual strangulation. So what he believes is Epstein was choked to death. In a manual strangulation, there's a backup of a pressure, and the little capillaries can rupture, and they're best seen in the eye. Very unusual, especially in a prison situation, that the cause of death was changed to hanging after being deemed inconclusive.
Yep.
So now the initial death certificate was issued at the time of the autopsy, is now pending further study. They have now taken back that death certificate. In an interview on CBS's 60 Minutes earlier this month, Dr. Baden also said that the forensic evidence released so far, including autopsy, point much more to murder and strangulation than the suicide and suicidal hanging. Now, an autopsy photo, to go on, of the 66-year-old pedophile, his hyoid bone, I'm not sure what the hyoid bone is, that's at the base of his neck, I've just learned that now, showed it is broken in 3 places. And that is unheard of, according to Dr. Baden, in a suicide. So there's let's play the video, let's watch.
You think there was foul play here?
The forensic evidence released so far point much more to murder and strangulation than the suicide.
Wow.
So there's about 6 or 7 different pieces of evidence that this Dr. Baden has come out with that says it was murder. And there were so many people who wanted him dead. Prince Andrew, the Clintons, Donald John Trump,
name a few.
Donald John Trump Jr., Donald John Trump Jr.'s wife, perhaps. Who knows?
Right.
So many people wanted this man dead. So many celebrities were with him. So many famous politicians were with him. It could have been anybody.
Yeah.
And then when you say, how did the cameras go off in the jail cell at the moment he hangs himself, and how are these guards not watching him when he's on suicide watch the moment that he got killed? Da da da!
Right. This all leads. I watch a lot of Cold Case Files, a lot of SVU, a lot of Law and Order. Yeah. So now I feel like I'm invested in this case.
Julian, the TriCaster guy, said he didn't have any murder mystery sound effects. So I said, I'm going to do it myself. Da da da! What do you think?
So many hats. See,
Yes.
see, even animation and sound. Just when you guys think Uncle Brad has it all down packed, piece of
I'm doing my own sound effects now.
The squad appreciates it. I know I do.
So what do you think? You think he killed himself?
Absolutely not.
You think he's suicide?
No, I think you asked me, do you think he killed himself? I
You
said,
said
absolutely not. Not with all this evidence.
No.
All the proof is right in front of us.
If you had to take a guess, and obviously it is
autopsies don't lie.
Obviously, it's an absolute guess. Okay, who do you think? Who do you think wanted him killed the most?
Too many people.
Who do you
Can't
think?
narrow it down.
Who do you think would want to kill the most?
Well, he worked in finance.
Because he had a lot to. I mean, he had a lot to.
There's a lot of powerful people that he was in touch with.
And
just in touch with people in general. That's what he
was touching a lot of people inappropriately. Exactly.
Right. Yeah. So, can I pick one? No, I can't pick one, Brad.
You cannot pick one. All right. So let's see what else is happening here. By the way, the 2020 Rock Hall inductees. Did you hear about that?
No, I hadn't.
You know what the Rock
I come
Hall...
on this show so you can tell me all these great things.
Yeah. You know what the Rock Hall of Fame is?
Yes, I'm familiar.
It's in Cleveland, Ohio. And every year they induct artists who have into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, who have had tremendous careers, who are basically Hall of Famers for the rock and roll. And who they inducted this year? Whitney Houston.
Oh, well deserved.
Well deserved. Notorious B.I.G.
Oh, also very well deserved. I'm a Biggie fan.
Doobie Brothers. Do you know who they are?
No.
Okay, they're a rock band from the 60s. Yes.
Was there what? Did you like that band?
They're okay. Their most famous. They were in. I don't know. This is before your time.
Here we go.
But for those of you who grew up in the 1970s in America, you were not alive at the time.
No.
Millennial.
I don't think I was. I was even a plant.
But when I was a kid, they had a TV show called What's Happening.
What was the jam? What was the jingle?
Yeah.
Give it to us. You're already on sound today.
I don't remember what the jingle was on What's Happening, but they had, it was about, these kids who, basically growing up in L.A., and they had this one fat kid. He was Rerun, and he was going, hey, Dwayne, and but one time the Doobie, and they all worked in like some restaurant somewhere.
Right.
And one time the Doobie Brothers bus broke down, and they all walk into the restaurant. And the only thing I remember about the Doobie Brothers, I can't tell you what song they sing, but I remember this guy, Rerun, goes, "Which Doobie you be?" And I just remember this to this day. I remember weird sitcoms. Which Doobie you be? Now Jill is singing the song, the jingle, but I don't remember it. She's singing it in my ear. So who else is in the Rock Hall of Fame? That's it. So the other inductees. Oh no, the other inductees: 9 Inch Nails. That they're a grunge band from the 90s, kind of like Nirvana. You know who Nirvana is, I assume.
I do know.
All right, Depeche Mode. They're like a punk band from the 80s.
T-Rex.
And T-Rex, I don't know who T-Rex is.
Not familiar with
I'm not familiar with T-Rex. I think it's a dinosaur from the prehistoric ages. T-Rex, I'm not sure.
But he made it.
Now it says Andy Leach, who's the senior director for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, says the list speaks to how diverse rock and roll is. But serious rock and rollers are not agreeing. They're saying Whitney Houston and Notorious B.I.G. are not rock and rollers.
I was going to say, I'm surprised that they would, in the Hall of Fame, I thought it was just rock artists, but...
Right. Yeah, because Notorious B.I.G. is a rapper.
He's a rapper, right. Yes.
Whitney Houston was a pop artist.
More soul,
Soul and pop artist, right. So now in the 50s, rock and roll included the doo-wop bands, the black R&B bands from the 60s, even country-influenced ones like the Everly Brothers. They're all in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So why not Whitney Houston? They got James Brown, Marvin Gaye, Aretha Franklin, Diana Ross, all in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So nobody...
I feel like that'll limit them, if they did it. There's only so many rock
Yeah, it should be the Music Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
it should be the music. It should be the Music Hall of Fame. Maybe they should change it.
Rebrand.
And all genres of music influence each other.
Yeah.
So I don't know where rock and roll stops and rap begins, and where rap stops and, soul
They
begins.
sure had their moments of features in
Right.
different categories, different genres
Yeah.
of music that they're just rock stars for that. So
Yeah.
toss them into the Rock Hall of Fame. Why not?
Yeah, now, I mean, Marvin Gaye, who's going to argue that Marvin Gaye doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame, right?
You can't.
You can't.
So throw Whitney in there. She
Right,
deserves
why not?
it.
Why not? All right. And finally, talking about music before we're going to get into our immigration questions in a little bit.
Everybody's fave.
Spotify, you know what Spotify is,
Of course.
right?
I'm a millennial.
Right, okay. It has now the Pawfect playlist for you
for your
and your
dog.
pet. Yes, believe it or not, most animals are serious music lovers. They love music, animals. So we have a clip of a chicken singing. Let's watch the chicken sing. I don't know what I just saw there, but we just saw some animals singing.
The chickens are onto something.
Yeah, right. Now, some animals, they like to sing, some they like to dance. So now Spotify is going to help you pick out some tracks specifically
Pawfect
for your
match.
special pet. They conducted a study and found that 71% of pet owners surveyed play music. Do you have a pet?
No, I don't.
Would you play music for your pet?
I mean, now that I'm really thinking about it, I would if I had a pet. I'm sure they'd enjoy it. Why didn't we come up with this, Brad?
I don't know, but I never thought. I had dogs for years. I never thought of playing
to
music
play
for them.
music. Well, this is why someone at Spotify just got a raise.
Yeah, and you want to know what? It's because I never thought of the emotional wellness of my animal dogs, that they would like music. I never thought of it. I said, they're dogs.
Right.
They're dogs, but I never thought of their emotional well-being when I'm not there, that I should have played music for them.
That's so true. I mean, they're
Yeah.
there to support you emotionally.
That's
That's why
right.
people get pets. I mean, I've never had a pet. My parents never really liked pets.
So
growing up.
now this is how they generate music now for the Pawfect playlist. Step one is you got to go and pick your pet. All right, you can choose from a dog, a cat, an iguana, a hamster, or a bird. Those are your choices.
That's it.
That's it.
The mice don't get music.
No,
if you have a pet mouse, pet hamster.
Fish, forget it. If you have a little pony, sometimes people want like little mini ponies.
Yeah, not a thing.
Not a thing. All right.
No playlist for the ponies.
No playlist for your pony. So then step two. Now we go to step two. It says tell them about your pet and what kind of temperament do they have. Do they like to jump up on you? Do they like to lick you? Do they bark at everybody? So you get to pick the temperament so that they can get they can get into their groove. Thanks for watching. For more Brad Show Live, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.